Hey everyone, Dr. Mark Schillinger, founder of the Young Men's Ultimate Weekend and Challenging Teenage Sons. I just wanted to take a moment to tell you how excited I am that some country finally has the chutzpah, the wherewithal, to ban social media for teenagers 16 and under, like TikTok, YouTube, Instagram, things like that. It's a huge move. Now, you probably know about this book, The Anxious Generation, and Jonathan Haidt. I've been certainly espousing his work for a number of years. And as some of you who already know me as a family mentor for 26 years, I have always been mentoring you to limit the use of digital devices for your children, especially your teenagers. And I know that most of you are thinking, well, how the hell are they going to enforce that? So there are ways that you can do that in your home. And just the fact that teenagers are hearing this message will certainly get a percentage of them to realize that they need to start focusing on their own life and not focusing so much on the outer world. Let me show you a slide here, if I may. Let me share this with you. Okay, so you can see this slide. The reason why young men, really all teenagers, don't get things done, as you know, most of you know that I work with young men primarily, but not exclusively. Anyway, here's the point. The point is that when young people are addicted to their devices, wherever mine is, I tend to put it away when I'm not working on it. But when people are on their devices, adults too, for that matter, but certainly young people, their brains are way more susceptible to the negative influences of these phones, where every time something goes off, they can't help themselves. They have to look at it. So to them, it's about dopamine, fun, pleasure. So on this slide here, it's like they just want to have fun. They want to be at the top of the seesaw. They don't want to be at the bottom and then have to use their legs to do something to get up to have fun. They avoid work. They avoid pain, which to them is like doing chores and doing their homework and things like that. So they're always looking to have pleasure. They're always looking to avoid pain. That's what you're up against. Well, to have a country on your side saying that children are not mature enough until they're 16 to deal with social media is an amazing thing. So here's what I recommend that you do, because I know you're going to say to me, Dr. Mark, my kid's not going to do this. They're just going to find a way to get on social media, which they might. But here's the great opportunity for you. It's time for you to initiate what I like to call a rite of passage right in your home. This becomes an opportunity. Now, on this video, I'm not going to tell you how you can do a rite of passage in your own home, but that's what I do for parents. Teach them how to change the focus of them being a parent, meaning that they do so much for their children, and start becoming a mentor, which, like at a rite of passage, there are mentors around the young people that teach them the things that the parents would be teaching them. But because they're not their parents, the young men tend to listen way more. So you're going to have to shift your focus and let your teen know that you're now getting them ready. Let's say they're 14. Now you're getting them ready to handle the challenges of the adult world out there. So you're going to be changing the way you parent them. So I'm not going to go into my whole method on how you do that, but I need you to know that as a parent that you need to change your internal state. You need to be ready to deal with all the BS they're going to come up with when they say, I don't want to do this. I don't care what Australia says. I'm not doing it here. I live in America. You have to have a way. You have to have a method to initiate them. So while we're not going to go over that in this video, I want you to get that if you can change your context, that you're going to be mentoring them more, which means teaching them how to make it in the outside world. And therefore, they need to spend less time on their devices. So here's what I tell young people. I tell them that when they watch Instagram and TikTok, they're conforming. They're conforming to the outer world. And I say there's nothing wrong with conforming to the outer world. All humans need to learn values about the outer world that come from the outer world, like being more responsible or being more accountable, being more honest. So we can learn those lessons by being on our screens. So there's value to seeing what's going on in the outside world. But when you spend too much time on the outer world, you will forget who you are. Values, what are important to you. So when you discover your own values, plus you acquire the values that you've learned about from the outside world, about what's important to make it in the world, that's healthy. But right now, if you're spending too much time on your device, you're going to forget who you are. You're going to be so overly concerned on the fear of missing out that you'll develop the fear of what I call the fear of missing in, meaning you'll start getting fearful of like, who am I? what's important to me. And you'll develop an anxiety that you won't even be able to articulate. But at 14 or whatever age you're speaking to your teenager about, as a teenager, it's also time for you to start learning what you need to know about yourself. That's important. And you'll lose that ability if you spend too much time on your devices. That's what I tell you, young people. They get it. Believe me, most of them know that they're spending way too much time on their devices. So I let them know, like, you're not 5 anymore. You're 14. You're a teenager. You are responsible for regulating your own brain. So in our house, we're now going to be limiting your access to the phone. So every night when you go to bed, you'll be turning in your phone to me or your dad or me or your mom, and we'll give it back to you after you've had your breakfast in the morning. Some young men, some young women that freak out and go, I need to watch it, get on it as soon as I wake up, and they'll make up some really bad shit about that. Occasionally, the more motivated young people do need to get on their phone because they have to find out maybe there's a new assignment. Maybe their polo club put out a message they need to know. That's fair. Those are exceptions. So maybe they can check their phones after they've gone to the bathroom, brushed their teeth, and got ready, to start the day. But you have to have some regulation there. It will work. One last slide to show you before we get back to this topic here, which is basically for 2 million years, humans had no cell phones. They had no devices. And for the most part, they had to work together and get along fine. Now we live in a culture, no judgment. I'm a parent. I get it. But everybody's on their device. So you all live in the same home. Everybody retreats to their own room, their own space, and they're on their device. So this ruling by Australia to limit the amount of time, or certainly limit what teenagers get to watch and not, is huge, really, really important. I really encourage you to do your best to start enforcing this in your home. If you want to learn more about how to actually enforce that, well, then you have to become a black belt at using what I call positive discipline consequences. Because if you're punishing your teenager, you've heard me say this before if you watch my videos or mentor with me, that when you're punishing, you're just creating polarity. If you use consequences, now you're restoring integrity, getting your teenagers back into alignment with the values you hold in a high regard, like being more responsible about their devices, when they watch it and what they watch. One last thing. Share my screen again. See if I can find this. That's really important. So a lot of times when young people give me a hard time about, why they should always be on their device, I type in something like, what are the negative effects on the nervous system of a teenage young adult from too much screen time? And I show them this. Now, they know this stuff already. Trust me, your children know all this stuff. Especially for a teen brain that's not fully developed. They should not be watching TikTok. They should not be watching YouTube so much. They shouldn't. They just shouldn't. As I said, they need to learn about how to conform to the outer world. They can get that from you and some screen time. And they also are at a critical time in their life to discover who they are. I've been a life coach for 40 years, certainly the last 26 years working with young people, teaching them how to discover who they are. Once they know who they are and why they should creatively express who they are, they naturally want to be on this thing less time. They want to explore who they are. So in closing, I would like to say this. I'd like to let you know that you need to have courage. You're going to have courage to really start to enforce these things. I encourage you to write me. Ask me for my list of positive discipline consequences that you can use with your teenager, because consequences are not punishments. You're going to give consequences because you love your child, and it's a way for them to learn how to limit their attention on something that's harmful for them. I think you'll find that over time, when you know how to limit their time and take back your device, because if you're the one who bought this thing, it's not their device, it's your device. You can take it back. You can limit the time that they're on it. So in closing, thank you, Australia. I hope America follows suit and every other country in the world, so that this next generation of young people that are being born right now are raised in an environment where they know that the use of their cell phone and an iPad and a computer is sacred, really, and that this information from the outer world gets leaked out into their lives in a very careful way. If you have any questions or concerns about what I said today, or you want to know more about how to do this work with your teenager, just contact me. info@challengingteenagesons.com. And don't forget, you can ask me for my document that I use with parents that I mentor on how to use positive consequences in a really healthy way. See you on the next video. Bye now.